Warriors, happy Wednesday. Today's Warrior Wednesday. It's 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. And believe it or not, we're closer to mid-June than you realize. How June is flying by super, super quick. And if you're actually on here live, say, hey, what's up? So I can say, hey, yo, what's going on? And if you're catching the replay, comment with hashtag replay so I can see you and say, hey, what's going on? Hey, Bart, good to see you on here. And so if you're tuning here live, which I see a bunch of you are, it means that you're ambitious and you're driven and you're also hungry to create the results that you want to create in your life and also to step into your dreams and fulfill your dreams. So I acknowledge you for being on here live. Yay, that's what's up. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Zina Solomon, and I'm here to guide you in reinventing yourself and also giving birth to your dreams so that you can live a life in a business by design versus a life in a business by default. And in the process, you get to create the life of your dreams, be passionate, be in alignment with your authentic self and create the magic that you want to create in your life. So today we're talking about being resourceful and 6 strategies. And this is part 1 of a 2-part series on how to be resourceful. And a conversation I've seen from several people about being resourceful is, and this is something that's for me, I find is mind-boggling, is we live in one of the richest and most resourceful countries in the world, in the US, right? Yet there is a conversation that people have about not having enough time, not having enough money, or not having enough of anything, right? Really, if you know what I'm talking about. So if that's you, say I and acknowledge that that's where you're at. And I can relate because time was a huge conversation for me. And I find myself in pockets of time where I'm like, can I really get all of this done? Can I really, complete and do what I'm committed to creating here? So if you're on the same boat, say, yes, that's me, and share that so we can be on the same page here. And so going back to the conversation of us being in one of the richest countries in the world, it's again very mind-boggling to see people being in a scarcity conversation. And so what gets to shift so that people step into abundance versus being in scarcity? And it's so interesting because I've been to third world countries and I've seen people in third world countries wanting to be in a situation where they can create and have a job and do things that they want to do, but they don't have the resources that we do. We have a lot of resources, yet people are complaining that they can't get stuff done and they don't have time and they don't have money. Isn't that interesting? So I just want to point that out there because it's been something that's been on my mind and heart for a couple of weeks now. And I'm like, I want to bring that forth because there's something completely missing. And I see that for me, it's heartbreaking to see that and to even hear that from people, especially when we live in one of the richest countries in the world. So being resourceful. So first of all, in life and in business, being resourceful is actually more important than having resources. And why do I say this? Well, because if you're being resourceful, you actually can tap into unlimited resources when you're leveraging your resources versus you having resources. You're pretty limited to having your own resources. So does that make sense? If you know what I'm talking about, say, yeah, I know what you're talking about here. All right. So also being resourceful means knowing that or knowing how you can actually get the information and the results that you want in a short and also an effective timeline so you can create the results that you want to create. So getting things done means that you actually get to be a creative problem solver. And so being a creative problem solver is a huge piece to being resourceful, is using your mind, which we all have brilliant minds here, and actually getting things done. So, all right, so another thing I want to say is most people, from my experience, tend to spend a lot of time in what's not working and the problem, which, in other words, if you're spending a lot of time in the problem, you're in breakdown. You know what I mean? Because you're spending a lot of time in the problem versus focusing on the solution. And if you're focusing on the solution and the opportunity, you're actually shifting your focus from being in the problem to creating a breakthrough for yourself in the solution. These are 2 very different ways of showing up, and it's a choice. So you're either choosing to be in the problem or you're choosing to be in the solution. And Jeff Bezos, who, if you don't know who Jeff Bezos is, he's the CEO of Amazon. I'm a huge Amazon Prime person. I love Amazon. He said this. He said, life's too short to hang out with people who aren't resourceful. And if you're hanging out with people who are not resourceful, well, you get to check in with yourself. Who are you hanging out with? And again, Jim Rohn said that you're the average of the five most people you spend time with. So who are your people? Who is your tribe? Do you have a high vibe tribe or do you not? Like, who are you hanging out with? Are you hanging out with people who are bitching and complaining and they're always in breakdown? Or are you hanging out with people who are committed to a vision, who want to fulfill dreams, who want to take other people with them to fulfill dreams? So who are you hanging out with? And that's something for you to check in for yourself so you get to connect with that. So let's go into the three strategies for you to be resourceful. Okay, so the first one is being curious and evoking that creativity in yourself. I like to think of this as improvising. And so if you've ever done improvisational acting, you know that when you improvise, you're always thinking on your feet and you're always asking yourself questions and you're like moving quickly. And so being curious and evoking creativity means you ask yourself questions like, what are other ways to get what I want here? What are some other possibilities? What are other ways? Who else has this information that can support me? Who is an expert in this area? So if you find out who the expert is, reach out to the expert, right? And what is one more thing I can try? What is one more thing I can add? Again, you're evoking creativity. You're asking yourself questions and you're coming up with solutions. You're again tapping into that creative problem solving piece that I'm talking about. And also ask yourself, who do you admire who, for example, who is someone that you admire and how would they handle this situation? Right? So if you think of that person, and of course, share who do you admire. Like I admire Oprah, I admire Tony Robbins, I admire, a lot of influencers, obviously. And I always think like, okay, if this person had this obstacle, how would they handle it? You know what I'm saying? And so who are your people? Like who are the people that you admire? And ask yourself, how would they handle it? Okay, so that's number one, strategy number one. Strategy number two, I'm with you, Zafir. I love Sasuke too. Okay, so strategy number two is don't reinvent the wheel. So what I mean by that is ask yourself, who has solved this problem that I have right now, and who else has created a solution? So not reinventing the wheel means you can Google it. You know what I'm saying? Google is my best friend. YouTube is one of my best friends. Like I go on YouTube and Google for a lot of things. I also read a lot of books. And so leverage those resources and also ask, instead of reinventing the wheel, Google it. And again, I'm going to say this because Google, if you go on Google and say, how do I make money? There's so many ways it'll walk you through how to make money, yet people are not taking action on it, which is really interesting. So just something to point out, because if someone has a scarcity of time or money, whatever that is, there's so many resources out there that you can tap into and learn from to get out of your block. You know what I'm saying? But the real question is, are you choosing to be in your breakdown? That's what I'm noticing from people. So I want to point it out there. Third, strategy is you want to leverage your network. And I'm a huge, like for me, I look at network. Your network is your net worth. And you want to value and create and maintain deep connections with people in your network. So you want to build a network of people that you can rely on and reach out to for support. And you also want to be that person for your network as well. So it goes both ways. It's a win-win. You know what I mean? One of the ways you can leverage your network. Okay, I'm back again. Okay, so I use LinkedIn. I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn, so I leverage LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a powerful networking tool that you can leverage to build your network. So I'm going to pause here. Those are three resources. Next week, I'm going to cover the other three strategies for you to being resourceful. And your mission for this week is to, first of all, share your voice. I want to hear from you. Share your voice and share this content. If you found that this content is valuable, tag someone who gets to hear it, share it with someone that is meant to hear it, be generous, give to that person, and also share what kind of strategy that you're going to be implementing now that will get you to unlock a problem that you're currently facing. Like what are you up against right now, and what is which strategy are you going to be implementing from the three that I shared with you? Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. I know I tend to talk a little fast here, so thank you for tuning in. See you next Wednesday, same time, same station. Warrior Wednesday. You guys are warriors. I appreciate you and I admire you, and I appreciate you for tuning in. So sayonara. See you next week. Bye.